Hey guys, it's Jordan here from SwitchWatch. Hope you're all having a great day. Now today's review is of Iconoclasts on the Nintendo Switch. Now if you're new here, then don't forget to click that subscribe button and the little bell to keep up to date with all our latest reviews, gameplays and features. It's well worth it. Anyways, let's get on with it. When you get told that a game is made by just one person, it's the kind of PR speak that is supposed to hook you in and make you support the game. I often take that as a bad sign though, because for every Stardew Valley out there, there are dozens and dozens of others that really could have done with extra hands and talent. It took the developer Joaquin Sandberg 7 years to make Iconoclasts, which is actually a better sign. The fact that they've not rushed it out, but instead tried to perfect every little facet of their baby, similar to how Owlboy was time-wise. So yeah, the signs were decent, but I couldn't help going with a little trepidation. The story is surprisingly a large focus for Iconoclasts. That's not something you'd think just looking at it or from knowing the genre. You are a young mechanic called Robin, living in a world that is very much a dystopia. Sure, it may look stunning and beautiful, but the humans are up to no good as per usual. In an oppressed world plagued by something called penance, a dictatorship with an iron fist rule has banned the art of the mechanic, the cartographer, and many other skills that could pose a threat to the authorities' grip on the world and the religion that people live by. As you may have gathered from the title Iconoclast, there is a really large theme of religion here. The game does have a dig at religion as a whole, and that may be a tiny bit uncomfortable for some of you religious folk out there, so just be a little warned. Personally, I found it fascinating and well developed. It's the story and the characters that really set this game apart from others of the genre. Living alone in seclusion, our young protagonist is a little bit of a renegade, going against the laws of the government and religion by continuing to use her mechanic skills taught to her by her disappeared father, and going about helping the people in a village to fix things. It's not long until things start to catch up with her and the special agents of the regime attempt to take her in. What follows is a roller coaster ride adventure as Robin and her newly made friends try to elude the forces of evil. The writing is surprisingly good, and I really enjoyed the plentiful dialogue that you'll experience throughout your journey in Iconoclasts. While the story does have humour in it, it does have a lot of dark places too. It explores loss, loneliness, family dysfunctionality, and many other surprising topics that really helped me bond with the characters. I really felt like I knew them by the end of the game, and it's been a long while since a game, especially of a platforming genre, has done that. I highly recommend Iconoclasts for the story alone. So guys, in the top right corner of the screen, I want to know what you guys think of stories in action platformers. Do you think they are important? We would love to know what you Switch watchers think, so click which one is more relevant to you. Just because the story is of high focus, that doesn't mean the gameplay has taken a back seat. Iconoclast plays very well too, an action puzzle platformer with just a small hint of Metroidvania that certainly whet my appetite. It's more on the simpler side compared to other games out there. Combat and puzzles are fairly simple, and rarely does the game get any more complicated than it needs to be, but that's okay. You have a normal gun which you can shoot and charge up to produce a more powerful attack. You start off with just a normal blaster, but other weapons are acquired slowly over the course of the game. Aiming has a somewhat crude lock onto it. If enemies are at diagonals from you, then it may automatically point their way. Sometimes you just have to do it manually. It sounds like this could be a large oversight and flaw in a game that has a big focus on gunplay, but in reality it's fine, as it can be easily overruled by your own inputs. Plus, combat is always a bit more methodical and tactical. There are few moments of charging in and shooting everything. I like the idea of thinking about my attacks before actually going in to do it. Then you have a melee attack in the form of a giant contraband wrench. This can be used to beat enemies to death as well as repel some enemy projectiles, which always feels very satisfying. This can be upgraded over time too, as about 2 or 3 hours and you'll end up with an electrified version which opens up a whole new world and possibilities. This is where the light Metroidvania aspect comes in. Well, at least the feeling of one. This new electric wrench allows you to cling onto magnetized lines, almost like a cable car, allowing you to access previously inaccessible areas, a feature highly found in the Metroidvania genre. The grenade launcher too allows you to blow up rocks that once you couldn't get through. It's all a facade though, as it's still a very linear game. The game mostly leads you down one path, and although there are some little treasure chests that you couldn't get before, you'll generally be guided from one level-like area to another in pretty linear fashion. I actually like this, as it did help focus the game so much more than if I was wandering around aimlessly, because the environments within Iconoclasts are pretty large. There's no need to retread without direction. Puzzles can be pretty straightforward, some small, some a whole giant room wide. They are quite satisfying to do. Being environmentally based, you can mostly see what you need to do immediately. It's just pulling it off that requires the skill, often involving moving platforms, using your wrench to unlock doors, as well as using your increasingly large array of skills and equipment to help figure it out. What I really enjoy about the gameplay is just how free-flowing and fluid it feels compared to many a platformer out there. You always feel in control and you always can trust the inputs and Robin's abilities to do as you need. Even with the slightly finicky auto-aim, swinging from nuts hanging in the air to reach higher ground, repelling enemy attacks, ground-pounding blocks, it feels very complete in the abilities department. The pacing too is really top notch. It's not all breakneck speed action, there's obviously the dialogue between the characters, some slow puzzle aspects, a little bit of combat, maybe sneaking, and then the myriad of boss battles which ramp up the pace exponentially. You're never sitting in the same situation for too long, never long enough to become bored with the gameplay at that time. There are even gameplay switch ups that try to add variety, such as sorting the explosive chemicals or some stealthy sneaking while some troops are chatting away. That's not the sort of depth that I expected going in, but I came out extremely impressed with the little gameplay switch ups, no matter how small. I just mentioned the boss battles because they do play a big part in the game. You're never too far away from a big boss or a mini boss to really test your reflexes and skills. What I like about all of them is that it's not only about wailing on them as much as possible. Again, there's a tactical nature in there too, where you have to bide your time to attack or get the boss in the best position they need to be in order to take damage. While some of them are more thrilling than others, this aspect of the game really hit the mark for me. One last thing I want to talk about in the gameplay are the augments to your abilities. Around the environments and in the little secret areas, you'll come across treasure chests with materials in. With these, you can craft extra perks for yourself. At set crafting benches, you can create a small amount of different things like being able to breathe longer underwater, take more damage, and keep your electrical wrench charged for longer. You can only equip a set amount, and their effects are somewhat limited. If I had to choose one part of the game that wasn't quite as fleshed out as it could be, it's this area. I feel like there could have been a little more customization than what's actually here. The game is bright and colourful and I really enjoy it. It's not the most detailed sprite work that we've ever seen compared to other games like Owlboy or something, but the blocky, bold nature of it really makes it stand out for me. I like it a lot. I love how visually expressive characters are, especially with their body movements. It's one of the first things that I noticed about the game. It showed me the attention to detail that's gone into it. The way the main character pulls back at something shocking or jubilant when she opens a chest, it just looks fantastic and really endears you to the characters in the game who populate the game's colourful world. The audio is top notch too. I think it could have done with a little bit more variety as the same themes are often found and you do notice them, but what is here is very competently done. As stated previously, this game was made by one person. I don't know if that entails a soundtrack too, but if it does, then it's mightily impressive with the talent that they have. There's no voice acting, which may make some of the cutscenes a little quiet, but it's not a huge deal, and that's always difficult to do right in these 2D platforming action games. Iconoclasts comes in at $19.99, which I think is decent value for money. Obviously it's not a complete steal like Hollow Knight in terms of content and quality for money, but Iconoclasts is worth it for me. With a solid 11 or 12 hour campaign with obvious time and quality gone into the game, you don't have to feel bad about paying the asking price for this one. Sure, there may be an issue of replayability. As much as I love the game, I don't feel the need or incentive to go through it again anytime soon. There are multiple difficulties which may motivate some of you, but not for me. Still, these 12 hours have been some of my favourite gaming this year so far. Overall, Iconoclasts is a fantastic little game that's incredibly impressive for the fact that it came from the talent of just one person. Sure, when you look at the individual parts of the game, like the gameplay, visuals and audio, they've been done better elsewhere, but when all of these culminate together to form Iconoclasts, just a little bit of magic happens and the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's not to say the parts aren't great though. I really enjoyed Iconoclasts thanks to the story, fluid gameplay and appealing visuals, and I'm sure you will too. In the gameplay video that I showed, 48% of you said that you'll get this eventually, with a quarter of you saying that you'll get it day one, and I agree. For me, it's a 9 out of 10. Okay guys, thank you ever so much for watching this review of Iconoclasts on the Nintendo Switch. If you're a regular Switch watcher, then hit that like button and leave a comment below. We'd love to know what you think of Iconoclast. Don't forget to check that poll out in the top right hand corner. We'd love to know what you think. If you're new here, then of course we would love it if you subscribed for more awesome Switch content, reviews, gameplays and features. We do a lot of stuff, we work very hard for this, so you won't regret it. And finally, head over to the website switchwatch.co.uk. That is always worth a daily look. I've been Jordan from SwitchWatch and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.